Hello, all. Today we are going to read you a story, The Unscary Scarecrow, written and illustrated by John Payson. Farmer Bramble had woken up bright and early. He had a very busy day in front of him. And as usual, he and his family were tucking into a hearty breakfast. Cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle-doo, crowed Farmer Bramble's cockerel, flying up onto the kitchen windowsill. "You're late again, cockerel," chuckled Farmer Bramble. "It's a good thing I've got a proper alarm clock to wake me up in the morning. You're certainly not an early riser." After his breakfast, feeling very happy, Farmer Bramble went out to begin his day's work. He was singing a little song. "Fern Hollow is the place to be. The leaves are green on every tree. The sky is blue. Don't need a brolly. And I am a farmer round and jolly." The little song came to an abrupt end as Farmer Bramble noticed a flock of big black crows in his field, all greedily gobbling up the wind. "Be off with you!" shouted the angry badger, rushing around the field and waving his arms about. "Leave my wheat alone!" But the poor old farmer, being rather too fat, soon grew tired and had to stop for breath. Then the cheeky crows settled down again to eat his crop. Mrs. Bramble decided that the best thing to do was to build a scarecrow. Of course, the three children were happy to help. It was all great fun. A turnip was used for the scarecrow's head, and his clothes were stuffed with hay and tied with string. He really looked marvelous. But when he was put in the field, the crow sat on his hat and arms and carried on weeding the wheat. The scarecrow just wasn't very scary. When Mr. Periwinkle, the mailman, arrived with Mr. Bramble's letter, he suggested that the scarecrow might be more effective if he had a very scary face. "That's a good idea," agreed Mr. Bramble. "I've got some cans of paint and brush. Perhaps you'd like to paint the scarecrow's face on for me, Mr. Periwinkle." The mailman was a keen amateur artist and was really rather pleased to show off his abilities. The job only took 5 minutes, and everyone admitted that the face was very scary indeed. But the cheeky crows took no notice of it at all and continued eating Farmer Bramble's. As the Brambles stood wondering what on earth they could do to get rid of the pesky crows, the Fern Hollow Express passed by, and Mr. Rusty, the engine driver, gave the farmers a friendly wave and sounded the trade whistle. "Toot, toot, toot!" went the train whistle loudly, and all the crows flew up into the air. The whistle had frightened them away, but soon they came back again and began once more to gobble up the wheat. Then Mr. Bramble rubbed his chin and smiled. "I have had an idea," he said to his wife. Wasting no time, Farmer Bramble drove his tractor round to the railway station, where he went to see his friend, the engine driver, Mr. Rusty. Mr. Rusty was in the engine shed polishing up the brass fittings on the train. "Hello there, Farmer Bramble," he said cheerily. "What can I do for you, sir?" "Well, I was wondering if you had an old train whistle, you could let me have it," said the badger. "I should think so," said Mr. Rusty helpfully, fishing around in the piles of bits and pieces. "Hey, yes, here's one." Farmer Bramble thanked his friend profusely and drove off his tractor. "I wonder what he's going to do with that old train whistle," mumbled Mr. Rusty, scratching his head. Back at the farm, the clever badger began building a peculiar machine. It was made up of all kinds of odd things: an alarm clock, an old car engine, a bits of strings, levers and pulleys, and most important of all, the engine whistle. When it was finally completed, the farmer filled his machine with the petrol and, with the help of Tugger, carried out into the wheat field, and stood it by the side of Scarecrow. All the crows in the field stopped eating and eyed the machine suspiciously. "Stand back, everyone!" cried Farmer Bramble, and he pulled hard on the string starting code. Chuck, chuck, chuck went the machine, and for a while that's all it did. Then quite suddenly it blew the old engine whistle. Toot, toot, toot! It sounded just like the foreign Hello Express, and the greedy crows were so frightened they all flew away. To make sure the pest did not come back, Farmer Bramble had designed his machine to blow the whistle automatically every 10 minutes. "Hip hip hooray! The crows have gone away," shouted Tugger, and everyone laughed. As for the Unscary Scarecrow, he never said a word.